Welcome to this week's episode of PaddyTalks Golf. The podcast is powered by 4 Golf Custom, those beautiful people based in Cleancastle, Derek, Don, Christine and Jill, and they are there for your custom fitting needs. Tour level custom fitting experience, 5-star hospitality is what you get when you rock in. And above all, their zero tolerance workshop ensures your equipment is built to spec. No plus or minus this or plus or minus that. It is built specifically for you to the zero tolerances that the tour gets. So if you're looking to become a better golfer, you want to invest in your equipment, 4 Golf is the place to go. This week, we sat down with Matt Ginella. Over 25 years of covering golf between Golf Channel, Golf Digest, and now CEO and founder of the Fire Pit Collective. Media, podcasts, stories in golf, the people in golf. I just want to be Matt when I grow up. We had a great chat. His lineage goes back to actually County Clare. So Matt Ginella is a fellow Clare man, even though it is down in Doombeg area, but we won't fight over that. But always a great insight into a different take on the golfing world. But I think I got a bit out of Matt that maybe others didn't when they chat to him in terms of how he got into golf, how he got into media, and kind of how they approach things at the Fire Pit Collective, and why he loves Ireland so much. Wrote it there, Colette. Matt Ginella, are you ready to tee it up?
I feel like we've already finished. You know what I mean? We've finished before we even got going.
They say the best bits. They say the best bits happen before you start things, don't they?
You can use whatever you want on the front end of this. I know the preamble was just as good, but it's always a pleasure to see you, be on with you. I love what you do and how you do it. I love your energy and enthusiasm and consistency and all that you're putting out. And I love Ireland as much as anybody can who isn't living in Ireland. I have roots in Ireland. I've continued to unearth my heritage and
I'll stop you there, right? I'll stop you there because I watched that piece. It's on the bit you did. I'm not sure if it's Fire Pit or another when you tracked your lineage in Dublin, and I screen grabbed that video of where you're from. I think I sent it on to you actually, but you're from like 10 minutes away from like originally where my mother is from, like in Clare. So you're a Clare man. So
I'm definitely a Clare man. We could be related, Paddy, to be honest with you.
It's part of Clare where we're definitely related.
No, Michael Boland, my great grandfather, and I've met some neighbors there now. I've gone to the land. I have a piece of the old house in my yard now. In my yard, I brought it back from the old stone wreckage. We're going to prepare another actual piece where I go and really walk the land with some locals and hear more about my family heritage. So, yeah, I am a Clare man. It's official. The Bolands, and I'm very proud to have that Irish heritage, honestly.
Fair play. You can actually prove it, unlike a lot of Americans, as we say. I'm 7th generation Lynch in Kilfenora. So we can track our lineage back across to old stone houses in the Burren. That's how Clare I am, boy. But this show is about you. Matt, what's your earliest memory of golf?
So I've got two that really, 2 or 3 that really stick out to me. My first one in which I really actually went and played golf for the first time. I lived in Santa Rosa, California. We lived in a beautiful little neighborhood in St. Francis Acres, surrounded by young families, so kids everywhere. One of my best friends was a guy by the name of Matt Cohen. Now, meanwhile, we're all playing. We're talking about 7 years old, 8 years old, that age group. My little guy is 6, Bandon, Ireland, Bandon Dunes. Bandon's my little guy. He's 6, probably a little older than what he is now. I remember Matt Cohen played golf. Apparently, he had a great skill set for the game of golf. We were all playing soccer, football, basketball. Golf wasn't really on my radar at all. I know my uncle I knew my uncle played golf. He was very good at it, but it wasn't. My dad was kind of not into the game much. He worked really hard. He was gone at 5 a.m, home at 8 o'clock at night. It just wasn't, golf wasn't it for him. And Matt Cohen's dad, Al Cohen, I was over at Matt Cohen's house, and Al Cohen said, "All right, Matt, let's go. We're going to play golf." And so I either had two options, either go with him or go home. And so I made a call home. "Can I go with, Mr. Cohen?" Yeah, okay. So we went to Sonoma County Fairgrounds. It's a horse track. It's the racetrack. Inside the racetrack was a 9-hole, little short course. And we went out and played that golf course. I do remember it very vividly. And the holes weren't much, tee to green, flat piece of land, maybe a little water here and there. And I'll never forget, this was my first time playing, and I was struggling. And Al Cohen said, "First of all, tee it up anywhere you want." So we got to, I thought that was cool, because that made it a lot easier to get the ball airborne, that strike, that feeling. And I remember having that feeling that you get when you hit a clean one, and it feels like you hit air. And that I'll never forget him. And I was like, I felt like it was so cool that I got to tee it up in the fairway, just got to, and I was like, really? I can do that? And I'll never forget that. That was really my first. And I'll always go back to Al Cohen, Matt Cohen, that day, Sonoma County Fair. That little golf course is still there to this day inside that racetrack in Santa Rosa, California.
It's a lovely story. You mentioned Bandon there, and I think he's possibly one of the coolest 6-year-olds on the planet. I've met him a couple of times. When he was maybe 2 or 3, I was at like an opening of a Link Soul store in 2018. Yeah. And then just this past April, what a guy. But how would you compare, I suppose, when you were his age playing golf to maybe what he's experiencing now?
I keep saying this because, he's growing up at Goat Hill Park. And Goat Hill Park is similar to, Sonoma County Fairgrounds, Bennett Valley Golf Course, these places where you'd kind of we'd be dropped off. And, you'd have a couple buddies, you'd hit some buckets of balls, you'd have some putting contests, maybe go play 9 holes, if the situation was right on the golf course. The pros, were almost like pseudo babysitters, right? Like they were. Bob Borowitz, I remember, he's a legendary pro in Northern California, impeccable reputation, just a quality human being. Well, Bob Borowitz, like he might or might not even remember me or us. I mean, it was a, crazy time back in, we're talking about the late 70s, early 80s. But it was, we kids were kind of a big part of the fabric of that community. Well, Goat Hill Park, the greatest gift I can give to Bandon is growing up at Goat Hill Park. He has, countless friends there, Patty. Like we pull up, and if I'm without Bandon, people are like, "Where's Bandon? Where's Bandon? What's going on? Why is not Bandon out here today? Where's tell Bandon I said hello. How's he come?" He goes in and he gets the buckets of balls. He plugs in the number. He goes to the range. Like the other day, he's looking at me where there's only 2 stalls, 1 stall in the middle of the range and 1 way down on the end. He's like, "Dad, you got to go get your own stall." I mean, I don't want to do this share thing where we hit 3 and I hit 3 and he's like, so here I am at the end and I'm looking back. He's chatting it up like he's one of the guys. He's 6 years old. And he gets he got the Old Soul Award at school. So, he can carry a conversation with, Fernie and Jaybird and Hunter and, he's got Zach and Evan and all the guys in the shop, everybody, he pops up in the chair. He says he works at Goat Hill Park. He tries to get up there and take money and run the cash register. So he's got a little 3-hole kids course. It's got the 4,500 yard par 65, 8 par 3s. They got the goat tees for the kids. I have to take a cart with him because he's only 6, can't carry his bag, but he ends up walking with all the guys. He'll jump up in the group in front. Dad, I'm going up with Wardy now. And he plays a few holes with Wardy on Friday afternoons in the Skin. So the greatest thing about the GOAT, and they got youth on course there, kids pay $5 or less. You know, the greatest thing about the GOAT is it's very similar to what I had as a kid. That's the beauty of it. You know what I mean? And I was at La Hinch not long ago. Anya Donegan, we were doing a feature on her. And, you know, it was a random Wednesday evening, cold to the bone, you know, six in the evening, sun's going down, and there's 60 kids out on the green at La Hinch for a putting contest, boys and girls, wide range of ages. And, you know, I know you guys have it too. It's very fundamental to the fabric of your culture is the game of golf. I think we sort of lost sight of that a little bit here in the US. And I think it's coming back now, realizing that, you know, building private, exclusive, expensive, hard, long, like that doesn't work if you're trying to like, you know, if you're trying to create a culture of skiers, you don't build double diamonds. You build the bunny slopes and then you build the intermediate slopes and then you build the, you know what I'm saying? You got to have all the connecting of dots. So it's a long answer to your question, but I think ultimately what we have here at Goat Hill Park or what he had at Winter Park 9, which is where we were, you know, our community prior to this, you got to have something like that. And I say it all the time, if you have something that is embracing kids and cultivate kids, then you cultivate community because with kids comes the adults. And now you have something that looks healthy, feels right, and is conducive to sort of what we're doing when we're talking about truly growing the game.
100%. And just to kind of lay another line of bricks down on top of your foundation there is like golf clubs in Ireland wouldn't have been seen as that open-ended for my dad's generation, we'll say. You know, it's really my generation and newer. So in La Hinch specifically, if it wasn't for one man proposing it, the local principal of the school, Kevin Glynn, there's 30, I'm 36, there's 25 years plus of generations that now play golf because of him. You know, because he pushed it. It was something we do. Physical education, we call it PE in school, was an option for the 3 schools in Ennistimon. Of a Friday, you can stay in the sports hall and play soccer or whatever, or rounders, or you can go out to La Hinch and play golf. They're your options. So everybody play golf, right? Get out of school. You might get lost coming off the other side of the bus and end up down the prom with a bag of chips. But either or. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like, oh, Ireland has always been like this. It's really the last, we'd say 30 years. So, and I can see, because I keep abreast of what's happening in the States and short courses in places like Winter Park and Goat Hill Park, in terms of what's happening. And it is kind of the demographic I'm kind of in, like under 40, you know, there isn't generational money. I want to play golf. It's very tough. And I think Harrington said it on like last week that he doesn't know how golfers get the access in the States. It's so expensive. But just it is down to the work of a few people in clubs that it has become that Wednesday evening. It could be a Friday evening in La Hinch or Tralee or Portrush. They all now have big junior programs, and it's thanks to the work of people like Kevin Glynn and progressive committees that have developed that. You know, La Hinch were in a Fred Daly semi-final, so that's under 18s team golf for the first time ever. Won our first pennant this year. Royal Portrush won it this year, when previously wouldn't have been at the races at all. I hope they don't mind me saying that, but it's thanks to the work of like Charlene Reid up in Portrush, you know, runs all their junior programs. But just a note on Goat Hill Park, it was a mecca for me since I found out it existed, and especially for the last since I've been doing this podcast, I might get DMs from people on committees or from having a chat with directors of golf over here, and they're like, oh, we're trying to build our brand, we're trying to get ourselves on the map. I just tell them to follow one Instagram profile, and that's Goat Hill Park. If you can replicate that over in your corner or in your parish or community, then you'll be on to something good, you know?
Well, you know, we just hosted the Wishbone Brawl here at Goat Hill Park, 6th annual. Xander Schauffele, Jeff Ogilvy, a concept that hatched with Dean Wilson and John Ashworth. John Ashworth, the caretaker of Goat Hill Park, who saved the golf course. It was going to be churned up. It was going to be something else. It was on death's doorstep. It had fallen into disrepair. It was just a mess, right? And he rallied the community, and now 10 years, 11 years into this, he's gets it better every day. The greens are in immaculate shape. It's just a blueprint of what's possible if people actually, focus a little attention on a community asset, the green space. The story, right? And but the Wishbone Brawl and some locals playing, and the Leoval twins, now 19-year-old girls who grew up at Goat Hill Park, who grew up, in the North County Junior Golf Association, who grew up caddying for the Wishbone Brawl. Last year, we're making hot dogs during the Wishbone Brawl, in which Fred Couples and Jeff Ogilvy lost to Xander Schauffele and Dean Wilson. And then they played in it this year, right? 2 girls, and they had 2 caddies, the Lee twins, Ada and Annabelle. So you had this foursome of young women out there competing, and held their own against Xander Schauffele and Chris Riley and Jeff Ogilvy and Colin Featherstone, a Corn Ferry Tour player who's local. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful event. But on the tee box, I announced that, St. Andrews, the home of golf, had old Tom Morris, who obviously, to me, he's the man, right? There's nobody. The more I learn, I love all the different architects, and a lot of people had different impact, but old Tom was the man. Architecture, equipment, championship golf, and agronomy, right? This was a guy who impacted so many aspects of the game, and he had the golf for all mentality. He hated the idea that golf would become an elitist sport. This needed to be, to this day, they close it down on Sundays. It's a parkland. You could, it was the week of the Open, and I'm walking up the middle of the fairway with my buddies, leaving the jigger and headed up to the other part of town. And we're walking down the middle of the fairway, and the security guard stopped us and took a picture of us in the middle of the fairway at night. In US, you would be arrested the week of the Open. You know what I mean? So it's that vibe. And so I say, St. Andrews and the home of golf had old Tom Morris. Goat Hill Park, Oceanside, Golf in the U.S. has old John Ashworth, who, he's out there in the dirt, supporting junior golf. He created a junior caddy academy. He's he's helping redesign this golf course. He supports Persimmon Woods. That's what they play in the Wishbone Brawl. Everybody talks about length and distance, and the golf course, the ball is going too far. The short answer is just shrink the game. Don't make the game bigger. 4,500 yards, being precise, having to work the ball right and left. Goat Hill Park, if you show up and you've played it, it plays so much longer than 4,500 yards, right? Like,
when you said that, I was like, it's no way it's that short. No fucking way. It's like have to be at least 6'5".
Yeah.
It's
and it's the same thing like at Pasatiem, but there's so many examples of what people perceive to be like long golf, and it's actually not. If it's done right and it's done thoughtfully and carefully, it can be done in a way that it challenges everybody. You hit every club in your bag. So look, I know there's a place for a little bit of everything, but I just love where the game is going right now. Certainly in the US, you know what I think about golf in Ireland, and I'm just, the professional game is such a small piece of what's happening when we say golf. And the professional game is upside down and inside out and full of money and greed and, and name calling and darkness and despair. And, and so if they work it out, great. If they don't, I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you, because what we know as the game is going in the right direction and seems to be healthy. And, Sawgrass charging $900 for a green fee. I don't really give, that's so outlandish. I don't really give a shit. And, I don't even care. But Goat Hill Park is $35, $50 if you take a card or something. There's enough out there for us Golden Gate Park, we're doing a story on right now, a 9-hole golf course in the middle of Golden Gate Park in San Francisco that they're revitalizing. And there's the stories go on and on. Canal Shores and National Links Trust and, WP9. And there's a new golf course I just saw. We used to be Rolling Hills in Scottsdale, Tempe, Arizona, and it's now grass clippings. The guys there are transforming this into a really cool short course with lights that you're going to be turned on. So, I can go on and on about how good it is and where we're going and the trends, and I'm excited about it.
The force is strong in you, as they say. My Christopher, I don't think you've met Christopher yet. Is 13. He's got autism, so he knows all of the quotes from Star Wars. So I get a weekly installation. So they come out when I'm at work. They come on the podcast. That's one of them. So the passion is there. The passion for golf, maybe not necessarily for the industry or the top level VIP player, but golf is so much more than that. Golf is for us. Golf is for the normal person, whether you're a CEO or someone who cleans glasses, golf is for you. And I suppose that's maybe not a brush that has been painted with outside of Irish shores, right? I'm going to bring it back to you because you're very good at not talking about yourself. So you're Irish when you're good at not talking about yourself, but
well, if you talk about yourself, the Irish will knock you down. I've learned that very quickly.
No, you see, Irish people really don't want to talk about themselves, but they'll fucking know everything about you, right? So you're very good at that. How did you end up in golf, Matt?
Again, I just think that it goes back to the Al and Matt Cohens. It goes back to my uncle Tony Kielhofer. It goes back to the people. So I started working in golf, as a young guy in Northern California. That was an option of being able to actually make money. I could go pick the range. I could park the carts. I could change grips. I could, I had an opportunity and access to money, right? And eventually that led to, that when I said there was like 3 memories of golf, when I got my first set of clubs at Christmas, we used to celebrate with my aunt and uncle and Uncle Tony, who was a scratch golfer when he was in his teens. He was like the Matt Cohen of his generation. He was into the game of golf when golf wasn't cool. And he was very good at it, like really good at it. Could have been pro, but there was not much money to be made back then when he was younger. But I'll never forget, he said, it starts with the grip. You got to get that grip right. And so he put my hand on the club. I'll never forget, a set of clubs. And then he got up and said, here. And then he really shepherded me into the game. I had to earn it, right? Like I had to prove to him that I could hang with him and his guys before I became like the 5th that tagged along. I had to prove to him that I understood. I will say my dad taught me like the integrity of the game, the rules, or the kind of the like, don't put your shadow on the hole when you're holding the pin. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
the
little
etiquettes,
things like
stand
that.
on this side. When you hold the flag, you stand on this side. When you're on a hole, you leave your bag at this side of the green because the tee is over there. The finer details of
the nuance
scares out. Yeah, the nuance.
Yeah. But my Uncle Tony taught me like the competition, the betting, the games, paying your bets right after you finish, how to, he taught me more of the competitive side. And so working around golf, being around someone like my uncle and all of his friends at Oakmont Golf Course, and I've written about this, the head pro was a nasty man, very manipulative. I mean, a real like the definition of like, an ass. But the guys he would hire, the young pros in the shop, Jeff John and, Howie Walker and Greg Langford and Scott Silva. There were some guys who, those are the guys that you need to take you under their wing and make sure you're doing things the right way. A guy named Tim Bogue I hung out with a lot. These guys, they meant something to me. And I think about them all the time when I see kids out at Goat Hill Park, and I think, you gotta make sure you're making time for the next generations, because people ahead of me made time for me. So those people, because I think to myself that the amount of relationships I've had and I've made, the memories, the moments, the experiences, the travels, the discovery, the cultures, the education about the world we live in is very much all funneled through the game of golf for me. Maybe for you too. A lot of people probably listening. And so there's much deeper meaning to the game than just like, oh, I shot 75 or 85, or I broke 90, or broke 100. Those are fun little mini accomplishments that you might save a scorecard or a hole in one. But the game of golf is I think to myself, what would I be without golf? Jesus.
Yeah, that's a question everyone should ask themselves, because
Oh my God. If
I'd
you
have a lot
took
of free
everything
time.
out, if you took everything out of my life that had any touch point to the game of golf, I'd be naked in a gutter.
Yeah, I think I'd have about 15 kids. Come here to me. Can you explain the reason Americans in particular travel in their thousands, and over the last 30 years, millions, to Ireland to play golf?
I've already sort of tapped a little bit into it. Yes, it's the golf. I can go on and on about the actual courses themselves. But it's the culture. It's the crack. It's the people. Scotland is a beautiful place for golf and has amazing golf courses. And I think they've come a long way in sort of their embrace of a North American traveler, because they kind of had to. You know why they had to? Because Ireland was kicking their ass in that warm embrace of, not only are we happy you're here, and I know some people are probably not happy anymore because it's like, Jesus, too much, drove up prices, clouding up our tee sheets. Okay, but they're also frequenting the bars and the restaurants and the hotels and the rental cars and all that goes with this tourism industry, right? That comes with it, the airlines and everything. So, and it's happening in those thousands, and it's on that huge uptick because everybody who goes has a great experience, and they have a great experience because of the caddy they had, or that music they heard, or that that hurling match they stumbled into, or the joke that the driver told them, or the list goes on and on about how and why. There's no one answer, and that's your answer.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Because
It's
100%. Because you taught me a lesson. You were on this podcast before, yourself, and it was Matt Squared and Tom Coyne. Yourself and Matt Adams and Tom Coyne, and we had a chat about Irish golf at the time when Irish golf was closed. It was Christmas 2020, back in the Rona days, on the China days, as some people say. And you taught me a lesson that time, because the thing came up about, because golf was open for about 3 months that year, September, October, November. And a lot of Irish people discovered places that they'd never played before. So like the Trelease was at a rate, and there was Golf Ireland rates were kind of reintroduced or rebroadcast, and they were available. The Watervilles, and places that are normally, they're the premium golf courses, right? And you kind of taught me something that time, and I was like, oh, well, like, would you not get a deal? Like, you don't need a deal. It is a deal. It's the price because it's the price. It's the price because, and it kind of educated me a bit even on Lahinch. Like, Lahinch is the price because there's 30 greenkeepers being employed. to keep it to that standard. There's 20 people across the restaurant and office keeping the place going. There's a whole sub ecosystem of economy you alluded to there. The hotels and B&Bs in the area, the 5 pubs in the town, and the all that jazz, right? So, and there's plenty of people still now today who will say, and you'll get into the DMs or you'll get it, oh, sure, look, you're probably loaded or whatever. Irish people in particular who will say, money to play these places, Tralee and Royal Portrush is going to be over £300 next year, and Old Head is a Grand Line, and kind of along that, not at Sawgrass levels. What's your take on the cost to play these courses, the premium, these are the top golf courses, not just in Ireland, but they're the top golf courses in the world. What's your take on someone says, oh, but sure, you can pay £30 to go down the road?
Yeah, I mean, it's the cost of golf is something that used to be a big thing for me. And I had somebody, explain to me, like, it's the laws of economics, right? Supply and demand. And every course is different. Every course is trying to sort of set out a business model based on what, right? Lahinch has a built-in membership. They have a loyal, inner circle of people who they know are that butters their bread, right? Those are the ones that are going to be there. And then they open up X amount of tee times for the outsiders to supplement that in total business model. I mean, you guys know this better than I do, but Old Head might not, Lahinch is right in that area, and that had, is it 700 members? Is it 1,700 members? I don't know exact number, but it's
it's over 2,000 members.
Yeah, it's like a big giant, there's a big giant number where you're like, wow, and then, but the cost of being a member there isn't so outrageous. When you run those numbers for us here, to be a member at like Pine Valley or San Francisco Golf Club or Augusta National, I don't know what the number is. I'll never know.
Like a golf course in the top 100, blah, blah, like in terms of architecture and design and all that kind of jazz.
And
to be in an equivalent layout.
$100,000 to join, $500,000 to join, $1 million to join. And, I'm not kidding. Right. So, but I find, your model of private in which there are members, but then there's access and outside play that supplement that membership so that members actually can afford to play that course I just love that model, right? As Alan Shipman said in a recent podcast we did at firepitcollective.com, and it was a Fire Pit podcast about Pasatiempo, Alistair McKenzie, right? Lahinch, Alistair McKenzie. This is a member-owned golf course that allows outside play, and the green fee is going to be $385 or something once they restore all these greens and when it reopens. People are like, $385. Okay, hold on. You have the option, pay or don't pay. They're at that price because that's based on the demand, right? Like, this is just simple laws of economics. They charge it because they can get it. If they couldn't get it, they wouldn't charge it. Pebble Beach, $650. That's crazy to me. But luckily, I've been able to play it. And I played it back when it was $125 when I graduated high school. And the good news, I say this all the time. The problem with golf is not charging $385 to play Pasatiempo. The problem would be if you charge $385 and you deliver an $85 experience. If you deliver a priceless experience in which people leave not thinking about how much they paid, instead talking about what they got access to and the holes they got to play and the greens they got to putt and the shots they got to, imagine and try to execute, then you've got a good thing, right? If people are charging a big number and delivering 1/10 of that kind of experience, they're going to not succeed and the prices will come down. At a restaurant, if you're going to charge, for an $85 steak and it tastes like a $5 steak, guess what's going to go out of business? that restaurant. So you can't, I don't, we can complain or we just don't go. You can, those are your choices.
Exactly.
Hey,
And it's always the minority that are the loudest, oftentimes.
well, of course, yeah. And
the way I equate it as well is like, is in a very Irish fashion, Matt, is it's 3 nights out. Generally, it's 3 average nights out, or 3 very good ones maybe, to play somewhere like Port Rush or Lynch. But that's it. Like if you were losing weight for a wedding or for Christmas, or we lose weight to get ready for Christmas here, you'd not eat the calories so you can have the calories. It's the same. That's the way I approach it. I'm like, Sean, I'm not going to go out for pints for like 6 weeks, and I'll go down and play a dare then in May.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the way I do it.
Hogshead, right? Hogshead. Whatever they're charging there, whatever that situation
that's a different
is.
ball game. That's the only private place on the island.
And I said it when they told me their model. I said it, and you got Robert Trent Jones golf course in Ireland on a tough piece of land where it's 10 miles or 15 miles an hour, blowing more than it does down the hill at Waterville. That never has made sense to me. And guess what? You know what I choose to do? Not go, not play, not pay, that's my choice. I would and guess where I go? Waterville. Because that golf course, you come to a fork in the road. Now, some people like them both. Some people like the mix. Good. That's your choice. This is art on a wall. You either like it and you want to bring it home and put it on your wall, or you move on and you walk down the wall. You walk down the wall and find something else you like, a different artist or a different size or a different style. Like, there is no right or wrong. It's what you decide. We hold the cards. The good news as a consumer is we have so many choices, right? You can, Nairn and Portneuf, Critch Island, and St. Patrick's at Rosapenna, right? Well, Critch Island feels like you could play for the change you got in your pocket. And if you play St. Patrick's, it might be a little bit more. But if you balance out the two and you say, well, now I've played something really incredibly charming and homemade with the locals and their shovels and Critch Island. And, with that low cost comes low expectations and then a sense of like, wow, I can't believe I got that for that. At St. Patrick's, to me, it's like, I can't believe I got that for that. It's still incredible value. Some people in Ireland,
for me, Rosapenna, I cannot. I was up there for the first time in April. I got the handicap low enough to play in their Senior Scratch Cup.
Oh, cool.
So you cover 2 of the courses for like €50. Yeah. So if that's not motivation for anybody in Ireland to get to a handicap of 3 or better, then there's fucking no hope for you, because you get to play Rosapenna for $50. And Frank and John do something right up there. If you're gonna be up there for a couple of days, they'll take care of you. Do you know what I mean?
Well, what they do right is they do right what so many people do right in Ireland. They're there. They're there to greet you. They're there to make sure that service and accountability. It's like the very consistent common denominator to a very successful restaurant is someone who owns the restaurant is there every day. Yeah. You know what's a common denominator to successful golf is someone who's part of the fabric of that golf course is there to hold everybody accountable for that thing that we can't touch, but we can feel: hospitality, service, warmth, a welcome. So, what you guys do better than everywhere else in the world is what I just said, hospitality, service, warmth, and a welcome. And you guys take pride in making sure that not only are we happy that you're here, but we want to make sure you come back.
No, 100%. And just when you were talking there, it reminded me of a couple of things, a couple of lines from comedians, but it reminded me of the difference between American hospitality and Irish hospitality, right? And some people don't like the drink analogies, but we're in Ireland, come on. So I see the difference, and I've only been to America a few times. The hospitality is great, right? But in America, they'll get you drunk and they'll tell you to fuck off home. In Ireland, they'll get you drunk, but we'll drive you home ourselves. Right? That's the little difference.
Or you'll go right into the next day. You go right into the next day.
Or just don't go home top. There's a couple of questions I like to ask on this trip sometimes. On this trip, it is a trip. But
It's a
one
journey.
I haven't asked before, because you've done 25 plus years, not to put an age in you, of golf, between Golf Illustrated or Sports Illustrated and Golf Digest and golf. I want people in Ireland to especially know about the Fire Pit Collective. So, what was the compelling event for you to go all in on Fire Pit Collective?
Yeah, I launched a travel-based lifestyle production company about 2 months before COVID hit. So that was a good decision, right? Good timing.
A very Irish decision there, yeah, Matt.
Talking about restaurants, it was like opening a restaurant right before COVID. So no, I think that ultimately it all was inspired by the idea that in my travels, again, I started writing travel for Golf Digest after I'd gotten my master's in journalism at Columbia Journalism School. I did like the idea of I wanted to tell the stories. I was a photo editor at Sports Illustrated and Golf Digest. And instead of helping illustrate or produce photo shoots or pick pictures, it felt like I wanted to tell the stories, So once I started writing these stories and trying to, share, like everybody who's a golfer, and social media has been so great for golf. It's not all great, but social media is great for golf because golf at the core of what it is very social. You play a place. Oh my God, we were talking about this before we started, and maybe you use it, maybe you don't, but that sense of discovery. Oh my God, I went and played Critch Island. You've got to go play here. I went and played Portumna. You've got to go play Portumna. It's that sense of like, oh my God, I've seen the light. There's incredible value. It's an incredible experience. It's a great golf course. Got to go. You've got to go do this too. Paddy, you tell all your friends or you tell all your followers. When I was doing my travels for Golf Digest, and that was the core, celebrating buddies trips, right? I started doing the ambush and writing about buddies trips. And that was tapping into like, oh my God, there's this whole subculture of, alpha planners that plan, and they're bell cows, and they lead groups of 4, 8, 16, 32, 50, whatever the number is. I started talking to that person and saying, how can I make sure that you look good in your world and to your buddies, to make sure that you're going out and giving them a good experience. What's a good experience? This course, this course, this course, this resort, this resort, this country, place like Ireland. So that sense of discovery rolled into Golf Channel and now Ginella's Journeys and doing these travel shows. We'd go out for 5 days and shoot from sunrise to sunset. We'd come back for 5 days worth of content, footage, and we'd run a 5.5 minute piece and everything else would go to waste. I said, we'd kill the cow and only eat the fillet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas what's in my phone right now? Like years and years of images and videos and interviews and sunrises and sunsets and golf holes. And, it's just, I'm so far behind. I just got back from Scottsdale, 5 days. I'm like overwhelmed with how much I want to try to share. Well, at Golf Channel, that inefficiency, that dedication to strictly a linear distribution of TV, you have to tune in morning drive on a Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. And that's when you'll be able to see it. Yeah, then they'd start putting that online. But for me, all that extra content and all that extra footage wasn't getting out. So Barstool was the big cage rattle. You had guys like No Laying Up who got this early on and started realizing we don't need the traditional linear distribution in order to gain a following. So the emergence of YouTube and all the social media channels, much like what you're doing, right? I was told people years ago, how do I get in? I said, just start writing, start a blog, start a podcast, start the social media. And if you're good at it, you'll get a following. And if you got a following, you've got a business. And so for me, I was getting anxious at Golf Channel, feeling like this is inefficient. so much is going to waste. The destinations or resorts or courses or places I was going or followers and fans want more. And we're giving them a sliver of what we have. So the launch of the Fire Pit Collective and the idea of going out on my own, even though it was bad timing, we've now gotten back to our roots. Fire Pit Collective, which is courses, resorts, destination, lifestyle, travel, renovations, restorations, celebrating, the good of the game. Alan Shipnuck is really focused on the professional game. We're trying to get, it's just a cesspool of stuff to me at the professional level. So getting back to people who pay to play versus people who get paid to play is really more of our focus now. And it's that efficiency factor that put more out. We've got more. So read, watch, listen, long, medium, short, try to use the whole cow was the catalyst and the idea behind firepitcollective.com.
No, it's brilliant. It is brilliant because you see all the sound bites and the clickbait with what called mainstream media, the golf's this and the golf's that. But the ones I actually remember and share are things that Alan does and like the video series that Firepit put together, because you actually get a robust story, not a clickbait and go, geez, where's the story in this article? And then you can get it in different forms. And it kind of comes from that. What's his name? What is his name?
I need more hints.
Vaynerchuk, right? Comes from his methodology of create one big long form piece of a story, and then you cut it up into your 10 pieces, and you take the audio, and that's your podcast. So you do one good story, you can distribute it 10 different ways. Gary Vaynerchuk, that's his kind of content story.
Yeah, I mean, Blake Cuny and Tommy Pearson are a production company that we share offices with. They've described it to us. They helped build John Florence, the Surfers brand back when. And I was already thinking read, watch, listen, long, medium, short, but they crystallized it in a way that I know you'll totally appreciate. But hero, hub, and hygiene. Hero is the long form, right? The hero form of content is my 24-minute feature on Dublin, or 24-minute feature on the southwest of Ireland, or the 24-minute feature on the northwest, or Belfast. That's the hero, that long form video. And your point, just like you said, the hub then becomes, in my mind, that hero is made up of 8 segments of features, right? 8 mini features, 8 hubs of content creates the hero. And then you use the hygiene, the short socials, 30 to 60 seconds, to tease the hub and the hero. Then I do a podcast, and then we write an article. And so now you have that sum total, that big pie chart of content is what we weren't doing at the Golf Channel, which was giving me the anxiety and the push out of the nest of comfort and security to say, I got to try something else. Hero, if you've got the hero, you've got everything. If you've got that long form, you have all those hubs by virtue of that's what makes up the hero. And then the hygienes keep spilling out of that. Then you have little sidebar features that make no sense to anything related to anything, but they're just damn good and they're short and they're funny. And then you have the podcast that kind of wraps it all up. And if you go to our landing page and you go to Journeys and you go into Ireland and you go to, all these different long forms, it's all there for you. If you want the long, settle in, watch it, consume it anyway. If you want the shorter forms, they're there for you too. If you want to read about it, you can read about it. If you want to listen to it in a podcast form, you can listen to it. Because the idea being, if you're in, I want to give it, if you prefer reading and I prefer watching and someone else prefers listening, you've got all that. But if you want it all, it's all there for you too. It's just that efficiency factor. Native Americans back in the day, they didn't kill the buffalo and only eat the meat. They used everything. And it's just simple. It's back to the basics. We're not in a position to not.
Exactly right. I know you have a parent-teacher meeting, so I've one more question
I
and
do.
Q&A, right?
I hope little Bandon I hope he gets a good review. I mean, we're hoping like crazy.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. So God seems to be changing, okay, or at least maybe it's trying too hard to change, okay. In that, we'd the Netflix Cup. The Netflix Cup was a couple of weeks ago, right? I don't know if you watched that, but the first 20 minutes, half an hour was painful. But it was okay after that. It was okay after that. You have TGL when their arena is rebuilt, and you've Live, which is a kind of different story. Matt Ginella, you have a bottomless pit of money. You get to implement two things for the betterment of the game. What do you do?
Yeah, I totally invest in short courses. I go all in on sustainability, short, fun, an emphasis on a place where I don't care if you're a +5 or a 25 handicap, you feel welcome. It's, you still have the challenge. I think a friend of mine, Davis Cessna, started a company called Threes. It's par three. It's the hang. It's that, it's that, build the community. What these guys are doing at Grass Clippings, and they're at early stage. What John has done at Goat Hill Park, what, Steve Leary, the mayor of Winter Park, did for Winter Park 9, and the investment, small investment into something that is paying dividends for generations to come. Not to mention property value. It's Golden Gate Parks. It's the 9 holes. It's, I would push all in on that. I think it's totally, Top Golf. I saw it right from the beginning. The first time I walked into a Top Golf facility, very early on, everyone was complaining about how golf took too long. It was too hard. They had 4-hour lines. I'll never forget. It was like midnight. They closed at 2 a.m. and they had people wait on in a 4-hour queue to try to get a stall. Beyond the time that the place was even going to be open, they were still putting their name down. So I was like, well, golf doesn't have a time problem. It has an experience problem. 7,800 yard golf courses that water everywhere. Like the sawgrasses are great for the Players Championship, and people go to say, I played where they play and I hit that shot at 17. And if that's worth $1,200 to you, Godspeed, good luck, go get them. There would never be a situation. They'd have to pay me $1,200 to go play sawgrass. I'm done. I've checked. Right across the street, a place called Yards. They converted kind of a failing 18-hole golf course into a 12-hole golf course. They have 6-hole routing. They hold a skins game there. It's about the experience, right? Go back to what does Ireland do so good? Experience. I'd push all in on making sure that, again, people weren't just coming once and checking a box. They were inspired to come back and tell all their friends, you've got to go see the Critch Islands. As much as I love St. Patrick's and Rosapenna, there's no way I would say, if you're going to go play Nairn and Portneuf and St. Patrick's and Rosapenna, and you don't spin off and play Critch Island and experience that for whatever they charge, which is like, again, pocket change, you're crazy. I'd go buy Critch Island. If I had money right now, I'd buy Critch Island and make it as great as it could be. And it's already great.
We're coming from the same school. You know it. You've played it. Before I ever played golf, we used to go to mass or church on a Sunday in the scanner. And on the way home in the summertime, we used to play Sandfield House, pitch and putt. And that's years before I ever picked up a golf club to play golf. It was just something we were able to do. So that's also my life goal. Is there's a range here in County Kildare, and they've a pitch and putt course on one side and a 400-yard range on the other side, and 5-a-side soccer pitches as well. I want to buy the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put a roof over the pitch and putt because it rains over here. And that's the dream. Quick fire Q&A time, Matt, because you have an appointment, right?
No, go ahead. Yeah, I'm good. The school's only 2 blocks away, so we got.
Oh, you're okay, so
yeah,
it's probably downhill as well if it's California.
Yeah, it is. It's flat.
Quick fire Q&A. These are the real hard-hitting questions, Master. Are
Oh,
you
I
ready for
can't
these?
wait. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Give it to me.
What would your walk-on song be?
Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors have a song called Find Your People. You got to find your people. You listen to it. There's no way you don't love it. And it really is my anthem, for life at this point. Finding your people who just see the world the way you see it. I found my people at Goat Hill Park. Those are my people. It's emotional. I mean, I found my people in Ireland. I've found my people all over the world. And it's a special thing when you find them. You know who they are. They know who you are. And I've made gajillion friends through this game of golf. Goes back to the beginning. So
Deadly. I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah. Well, you'll thank me later. And Drew Holcomb's a hell of a golfer, and came when he was playing in San Diego at a concert. He came out and played Goat Hill Park with me and John Ashworth, and he said, "This is it." And it inspired him to try to do something like that in Nashville. So I don't know whether he's going to do it or not, but that's the kind of impact that Goat Hill Park is having.
No, and it's global, believe me. If you don't go to Rossapena, go to Goat Hill Park. That's what I say. Jim, they're both golfing meccas. Gym or pizza?
Gym or pizza? Mm-hmm. Like go to the gym or eat a pizza?
Go to the gymnasium or just get takeout pizza.
I mean, pizza.
Hat, visor, or bucket hat? Happy Gilmore or Tin Cup?
Tin Cup.
Good, because the start of this podcast starts teed up. Kind of stole it from there.
Yeah.
Walk or cart?
Walk. I just tweeted out something. Golf courses that force you to take a cart is like I wish they never existed. Now again, do I take a cart if my 6-year-old's coming, he can't walk out? Yes. Do I take a cart if we want to buzz around or we've already played 18 or 36 and you want to get in? I get the cart. I'm not anti-cart, but I'm just telling you, when you walk, as you guys know better than anybody, the conversations and the communication and the connective tissue that happens amongst that group of, if you're in a cart, you're only talking to the person you're with. It just smothers out the core of what I love about the game, which is the camaraderie. 100%. So without question, exclamation point, walk.
Matt Ginella walks will be the podcast name.
I mean, again, do I take a cart from time to time? Yes.
100%.
I mean, it happens, but walk is 92% of what I do.
Golf hoodies. Look at us.
Of course. Yeah.
Yes or no?
Jesus. I mean, and the idea that someone would say no, as if I just don't even know what that,
I had a stalwart PGA Pro say, it would have been no until 4 months ago until I wore one, and now I can't take it off. That was Keane McNamara won the South back in 2005.
It keeps the back of my neck more. I mean, it's just,
perfect for golf in Ireland is like golf hoodie.
Yeah, of course.
Special.
You got to put, I mean.
And then the snood underneath it. But anyway, if you say yes to the golf hoodies question, golf joggers, yes or no?
Not for me, but it doesn't offend me. You know what I mean? Like I think there are people, it's kind of like women wearing the yoga pants, right? Wear them all you want. I mean, if that's what feels good to you, like not all women should wear yoga pants, but if they do, it doesn't offend me. You know what I mean? Like 100%. Not all men should wear joggers, but if they do it, it's the white belt. Not for me. But if you want to wear a white belt, that's, I'm not really into that, like judging people on what they wear thing. No,
100%. I mean it from a more of, would you wear them?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's my thing. You know what I mean? Like if my wife told me, oh, you gotta, they look great on you, I'd probably wear them, but because she's all that matters.
Just on that. So I like to wear them. And I get plenty.
I've seen.
Yeah,
I think I wore them.
I think I wore them when I was playing the goat with you.
I think you pull it off.
Nice,
actually,
nice purple pair. My favorite reaction was actually this past Saturday. in Lahinch. I was playing with two guys in their 70s and a friend of mine in his 50s. And I was all blacked out, black joggers, no show socks. And Jerry comes onto the tee. Pádraig, did you forget your socks? And then I fired it about 310 up, and I turned on and says, "It's because I've no socks on, Jerry." So, yeah.
The whole fashion of golf is I'm not a I've as John Ashworth says, this is your recreation, right? This is what you're doing, and you're as fun. Who am I to judge what you wear when you go and enjoy you enjoy a walk?
And that's coming from an Ashworth, so he knows a thing or two about clothing. Instagram
exactly.
or Twitter?
Instagram, by far. I mean, Twitter, I have to be there, but whoo, boy.
Gets spicy.
It's like being in Ireland. You think you want to get ripped to shreds, just go on Twitter. You know what I mean?
Oh, I've taken a new tack as of yesterday on Twitter, and now I'm just using it as a big clickbaiting exercise. Play or practice?
I mean, play, but boy, I really do love to practice. I'm constantly working my game. I've changed my ground. Will Kropp from Goat Hill Park is I've got a lesson with him today. I'm committing to 6 months of really trying to stop cutting across the ball, and I've changed my grip. I'm really committed to trying to attack that inside of that golf ball, and I'm going 6 months, lessons every 2 weeks. By April of the Masters is where I hope to feel like I have resurrected my game. I've been kind of a lifetime stuck at 7 to 9 handicap for years, and I want to practice more, change my swing path, and get in the inside of that golf ball. And so practice is, I'm going to say practice.
See you in the final of the Goat Match Play next year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. Last question. Kind of hypothetical scenario. Let's just say it is the Goat Hill the Links Hole competition, I think, is in Lahinch in 2024. I heard a rumor.
LS2 man.
So if it's not I think it is officially. I think we can say that.
I'm not positive. I know they're going back to Ireland, and I hope it's Lahinch. The logo, obviously, the goat is the mascot, and Goat Hill Park is the goat. And there's a mural of Lahinch just at Goat Hill Park, which happened totally randomly with the artist, which is another story we're sitting on. But Paddy at Lahinch told me that Goat Hill Park is officially a sister course to Lahinch in the U.S., kind of like the old course and Pinehurst have this cradle of American golf, and so Lahinch is, yeah.
Let's say it is on unofficially. It's a hypothetical story.
It's got to be.
You and me win it, right? And you are celebrating, right? Because I'm up
going up to the 19th bar, the 19th right? hole bar there. Yeah.
So we've done that. The next night you have your celebratory dinner, and you can have whatever 6 people at the table with you. You're at the top of the table, and you have 3 people down the right and 3 people down the left. Who makes the cut?
In Ireland?
In your whole life.
Oh, man.
They can be real people. They can be fake people. They can be celebrities. They can be fictional characters. You could have Harry Potter there if you wanted. Bandon might have Superman. But who would Matt Ginella have at his table?
It's all my guys. It's really hard to cut it down to 6 because, Marty Carr is on that list. John Ashworth is on that list. My Uncle Tony is on that list. I mean, my dad and I are very close, but it's not really about the game of golf, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, I love my dad. And my dad didn't really get along with Uncle Tony, so it was kind of like golf was my. So it was like a little bit of so in this particular case, when we're celebrating the win at Lahinch, it would have to, Josh Lesnick is the godfather of Fabi Bandon. Bandon would have to be there. My little guy. I mean, he's my best buddy. And I think I have one more spot. I mean. And I've got a bunch of best buddies for life. that go back all the way to second grade, but probably have to be my best buddy from high school, Todd Curran. He's, I mean, and I got Tim Hetrick as my partner for life and the Uncle Tony. I need a bigger table, to be totally honest with you. I got 24 guys who come on my Uncle Tony Invitational. They're there for a reason. And I'd have to ask for a bigger table.
That's okay. That's well worth it. It's a great table so far. Matt Ginella, thanks for your time. It is 7:30 now, 8:35 your time. So thanks for getting up and having the conversation. And we'll see you real soon.
I give my best to everybody in Ireland. They know who they are. Marty Cars and Killian O'Dowds and Aidan Malloy's and Joe Canning is, I'm proud to call him a friend, and Owen Lynch.
No like a Joe show.
No Ryan and my guys in Ireland are they know who they are, and they mean the world to me, and Ireland does. And I'm glad to know you, and keep up all the great work. And I can't wait to get back. So thank you.
Matty G, talk to you soon. Matt Ginella, what an absolute gentleman. Can't wait to hook up with Matt and the Fire Pit Collective on their next jaunt to these shores here in Ireland. If you like today's show, please do like it, share it with your friends, put it in the WhatsApp groups. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, like it, share it, tell the world about it if that's your thing. If you can do me one favor, leave a review. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, I think it's a couple of clicks of a button. Really helps the show, helps me broadcast it, helps get better and better guests like Matt on it. So thank you all for listening. Thanks for pressing play. Until we tee up again soon, I'm Paddy.